A big complaint I hear from golfers is that their hips feel tight and stiff. Maybe that sounds like you. Maybe you're someone that works at a desk all week, and then when it comes to your golf swing, you don't feel like you've got the motion in those hips to help you make a big coiled turn or help you clear through the ball efficiently. In today's video, I'm going to share with you 2 simple hip stretches you can do from home to help you get your hips moving and feeling better both on and off the golf course. Let's get stuck in. So I'm going to be showing you 2 stretches, one for external hip rotation and one for internal hip rotation. And the good news is that the setup is pretty similar for both. Now, I'm going to be demonstrating using an incline bench. If you do have access to an incline bench, it is the best way to set this stretch up because you can adjust the incline as needed, depending upon your range of motion. But if you're doing this from home, you could use a bed or a sofa and use some cushions or some pillows to bulk up one side to kind of replicate this incline setup. So to start with, I'm going to demonstrate the external hip rotation stretch, and this is going to be for my left hip in this setup. So left foot is going to go in this gap here. I'm going to have my left knee on the bench, 90-degree angle here between my ankle, knee and hip. I'm using this hand here on the edge of the bench. My right foot is kind of dropped back onto its tiptoes. And then from here, I'm going to get nice and tall through the trunk, and I'm going to kind of sink into this front hip, so into this left hip. Now, to increase the stretch, I can actually rotate my trunk in the direction of this hand. So I'm really kind of sinking down into this left hip, left glute, and then turning away from it. So we can also use our breath here to help increase the stretch. So on every inhale, I'm trying to get nice and tall. And then on every exhale, I'm just trying to rotate away through the trunk, sink into this hip a little bit deeper to increase the stretch. So inhale to get tall, exhale to just get into that stretch even more. And this is going to really work on external rotation of this left hip. So what it's similar to is kind of pigeon stretch from yoga, which is obviously normally done on the floor, but pigeon stretch for a lot of people is a little bit too advanced. They don't have the range of motion in the hip capsule itself to actually get into a good pigeon, and then they start compensating through kind of the back to get into that position. So all we're doing here is we're doing an elevated pigeon from the bench just to make the movement a little bit easier so that we can get a little bit more out of it. And you can adjust this angle to kind of complement your range of motion. So if I work this up this way, that's obviously going to be a much less range of motion that my knee is going for kind of that way. So I'm going to get into less external rotation. So for me, this is a little bit too easy. But obviously, if I worked it down this way, that's going to be a lot more external rotation through this left hip. So I'm going to have to work a little bit harder, and I can get a really big stretch here. So obviously that's getting me a little bit nearer to what kind of pigeon position would be from the floor. So what you can do there is you can pick the angle that's most applicable to you if you're working on an incline bench. Obviously, if you're doing it from home, you're just going to kind of have to replicate that setup as best as you can. So that's our elevated pigeon stretch for external hip rotation. Same setup, I'm now going to do internal hip rotation, but for the opposite side, so for my right side. Again, right foot's going to go in the gap, right knee onto the bench, 90-degree angle between ankle, knee and hip. This time I'm going to stand nice and tall. So I want my left leg here, my planted leg, nice and engaged, nice and tall. This is going to set this right hip here into a little bit of internal rotation, and then I can increase that stretch by placing the hand down and turning the trunk in the direction of that right foot. And this is going to light up this right hip here into internal rotation. So as a right-handed golfer, this is how my right hip will work in the backswing, and as a right-handed golfer, my left hip will work internally as I come through the ball, and obviously vice versa for a left-handed golfer. So similar rules apply to the elevated pigeon. Every time I breathe in, trying to get nice and tall. Every time I breathe out, just trying to rotate deeper into the stretch, into this hip capsule, twist my trunk further in that direction. Inhale to get tall, exhale to get deeper into the stretch. And again, similar to the elevated pigeon, I can change the angle here. So obviously a little bit higher of an incline, a little bit easier through there on that internal rotation. If I went down further, a little bit more challenging on that internal rotation. So this is why an incline bench works perfectly, because you can easily adjust the incline to suit your range of motion for the internal and the external, obviously on both sides as well. But you can replicate very similar setups from home. So what we'd be looking for is kind of a 30 to 60 second hold on the external and the internal one way, turning around, doing exactly the same on the opposite side. A couple of minutes, really working your hips both internally and externally, and helping to free up some space in that hip capsule to help you with your golf game. So there we have it. 2 super simple moves you can do to really help get your hips moving and feeling better in just a few minutes. Give them a go. Let me know how you get on. If you're looking for more information on mobility for golf, check out my pinned comment for my free Mobility for Golf ebook. If you found this video helpful, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And if there's any future golf fitness topics you'd like me to cover on the channel, let me know in the comments below.